It's a challenging time to be a teacher. We don't get paid a lot, the days can be long and exhausting, demands from students, parents, admins, and districts can be intense. There is always room for improvement and there is always more to do. There are always new procedures to learn, new programs to run, new strategies to master. But it's when our fire burns the lowest that we remember our purpose. We teach because we're resilient. We teach because we're problem solvers. We teach because investing in kids is one of the highest callings we can imagine. We teach because we know that the classroom can be a place of magic and possibility. We teach because we have an unquenchable fire for learning and a passion to share it. We teach because our colleagues are some of the best human beings we will ever meet. We teach because we have an opportunity to influence the global citizens that will make this world a better place. If you're still on fire for learning and growth, join the Teachers on Fire Roundtable for conversations that will warm your heart, spark your thinking, and ignite your practice. You'll hear from real people and real educators with real solutions, not make-believe perfection, but ideas, inspiration, and a path toward change and transformation in K-12 education today. My name is Tim Cavey. I'm an 8th grade teacher, assistant principal, and the host of the Teachers on Fire podcast. I'm inviting you to join us at the Teachers on Fire Roundtable. Because you matter, your voice is important, and we are all better together. Good morning, Teachers on Fire, and welcome back to another conversation that will warm your heart, spark your thinking, and ignite your professional practice. I have in studio with me this morning a husband, dad, proud principal, and learner at Yardville Elementary School in the great state of New Jersey. He is the author of The 4 O'Clock Faculty, a road guide to revolutionizing professional development, The Secret Sauce, Essential Ingredients for Exceptional Teaching, and, most recently, Rogue Leader, Make the Rules, Inspire Others, and Take Control of Your Own Professional Development Destiny. Love that. Well, thank you for joining me this morning, Rich Czyz. If 1 is burnout and 5 is on fire, how are you feeling today?
So I'm probably at a 3 or a 4 this morning. I am recovering from a little bit of an eye issue. I had an infection in my eye. So recovering from that, but very excited to be here to talk today about Rogue Leader.
Thank you so much for joining us. Despite you could have asked for some time off, but you went ahead. I really respect that and appreciate that so much. Thank you, and I hope it's not making you too uncomfortable here while we chat about professional learning this morning. If you are joining us live or on the replay, let us know where you are coming from. We've got Shannon in studio, or not in studio this time. She has been in the past, but Shannon coming in from Prince George, saying good morning from the sunny lands of the Clé-les-Tene. Thank you for that. Otherwise known as Prince George, up in northern Canada. Well, thanks for joining us, Shannon. Back to Rich. All right, so we've got to say congratulations on this recent release, your 3rd book, and it goes by the title, once again, Rogue Leader, Make the Rules, Inspire Others, and Take Control of Your Own Professional Development Destiny. So let's start out with the basics, Rich. I heard this yesterday, so I know, but for our listeners and viewers, tell us what ROGUE stands for. Where did that come from?
Yeah, so ROGUE is an acronym that comes from the first book. It stands for a relevant, organized group of underground educators. So the idea behind it is to find those who are inspiring you, who are lighting your fire to get you excited about teaching, to get you excited about your own learning, finding those others that are going to inspire you, and finding those rogue friends that will keep you going.
And remind me, I was thinking about something else. What was the R again?
Relevant.
Relevant, okay.
Group of underground educators.
Didn't want to take a chance on it. Okay, so relevant, organized group of underground educators. Thank you so much for that. So we've got our context. And before we go on, want to say hello to Wendy, who is coming in from Pennsylvania. Good morning, Wendy. Great to see you on YouTube. All right, on to our next question, Rich. Let's see. In the book, you highlight And you can correct me at any time, Rich, if any of my research is faulty here. But
no
you highlight 5 critical factors. By the way, I love this topic of professional learning. I've got lots of opinions as well, but you highlight 5 critical factors of successful professional development programs. Can you break these down for us? We've got relevance, embeddedness, alignment, design, and impact. I know there's a lot that could be said there, and we need to buy the book, but could you talk about those 5 briefly?
Yeah, so it's the READY framework for PD, and it's really about design and how we design PD that kind of fits into all of these categories. So, as far as relevance, is it something that has to do with what teachers do on a regular basis? A lot of times we see one size fits all or one size fits most PD professional
Right.
learning in a lot of different districts, but is it really relevant to what a teacher does? I know one of the examples I always give is the school nurse, right? So in one of my previous districts, I was responsible for PD for the school nurse, and trying to figure out, like, I'm not an expert, but trying to figure out what the school nurse needs compared to what a teacher needs. It has to be relevant to what they're doing.
Yeah.
The second one is embeddedness, and can we make PD an active part of what's happening in the classroom every day? So a couple of strategies and ideas that I've seen that have been successful here are instructional coaching, right? So I think anytime we can get coaches into the classroom to work with teachers and students, I think you're going to see some improvement there. Or even learning visits when teachers are getting a chance to kind of get into other classrooms to talk with other teachers and see what's going on there. The next piece is alignment. So do the PD goals of the district or school align with individual educators, right? So, a lot of teachers would want very specific things as far as their professional development, professional learning. Lots of times it doesn't necessarily coincide with what the district or school is shooting for. So I think when we can kind of match those two things up, I think that becomes beneficial. And I think it comes from feedback, right? That's the number one piece there, is getting teacher feedback about what is relevant, what's important to them, and how to align that to district goals. The next one is design. So is it designed to include voice and choice for teachers? And I think those two are so critical, making sure that teachers do have a choice in what they're doing, what type of sessions they're going to, and just making sure that they have a voice. And again, that teacher feedback is so important in planning professional development. And then the final one, which I think is the most important one, is impact on students. And, that's unfortunately a lot of times we do PD and, it's PD that's done to teachers. They don't necessarily take anything back to their kids in the classroom. And I think that should be the number one question we ask every time we plan a PD session is this ultimately going to impact students back in the classroom? And if it's not, then maybe we need to rethink what that PD looks like.
Yeah, you would think it would be a no-brainer almost, right? But that's true. It's so true that some of the professional learning we've seen in the past actually doesn't have a whole lot of connection and maybe doesn't improve learning for students. So that should be definitely a filter. Well, you recently tweeted about getting a little more practical here, about 4 practical professional learning strategies, and these sounded so interesting to me. I was hoping to dig into them a little bit more this morning. So we've got reflection walkabouts, the PD challenge, PD involving students, I can sort of guess what that might entail, and slow PD. So could you talk about those 4 strategies? What would those look like?
Yeah, so I think it's really about changing PD to work for teachers. And right now, and I'm a elementary school principal, and I know we had a staff meeting on Thursday. The last thing teachers want to do after 6 hours of teaching at 3:45 is sit in a staff meeting and kind of listen to me talk at them. So it's really about finding PD and changing it so that it works for teachers. The idea of the reflection walkabout came from James Moffitt. He's a former principal in Kansas City. So he shared that. I thought it was a great idea, so I did write about it in the book. But it's a simple idea of getting together once a week. So it can be on a Friday afternoon, it can be on a Monday morning, and walking around the campus with another teacher and just conversing, right? Talking about, maybe if you're doing it at the beginning of the week, talking about what the week looks like. If you're doing it at the end of the week, maybe it's a reflection. what went well this week? What do I think can go? What do I think I can change for next week? So I think that it's very simple, but very impactful for teachers in what they do on a regular basis. The second one is the PD challenge, and this was kind of born out of our No School November in New Jersey. We have a lot of days off. We have our New Jersey Teachers Convention, which is the first full week of November. We have Thanksgiving. So generally we only have, 12, 13 days of school in November. And I was trying to look for something to kind of challenge teachers a little bit. So gamified PD a little bit, gave them a lot of different choices, offered up some different incentives for teachers. So, a gift card, the most important was 40 minutes of me coming in to cover their class, which was a huge kind of incentive for teachers, and really just gave teachers a lot of different things to look at. So some were podcasts, some were blogs, and just changing instruction based on what they were reading or what they were learning. The next one is PD involving students. And again, you can do this in a lot of different ways. You can do, tech tips with students. You can have a tech team in the building where students are sharing their technical and technology knowledge with teachers. I think they often know a lot more than we do in those cases with PD. But they can share what they're using technology for. And the other piece is doing a student feedback loop. So really asking students, how would they improve school? What do they think school should look like? Wow. Maybe subject specific as well. And then the last piece is slow PD. And this is really the idea of, taking a staff meeting and slowing down what PD looks like. So starting with one simple, probably very broad question and taking 30 to 60 minutes to just kind of answer that question. So no new questions, just following up on that one question and really slowing PD down.
Those are so good. Of that list, all of them sort of reach out to me and speak to me in different ways. But on that list, I think the PD challenge one is really, really interesting to me, Rich. And I'm sure you've dealt with this because on the one hand, I love the choice. You mentioned podcasts, maybe YouTube videos might be in there. Mini courses, readings. There's lots of opportunity to give teachers what they want in a sense, or allow them to learn in their favorite way. And you talked about gamifying it with gift cards. Okay, so to me, it has to be presented so carefully and strategically because those veteran high school teachers, let's say, to use a stereotype, don't want to be treated in any way that disrespects their professionalism. They don't want to be felt like, like here's a $5, coffee if you'll just complete this X, Y, and Z, So they're going to be resistant to that. So any words of wisdom on how can you gamify it in a way that your whole staff is going to be on board with? And, sort of coming alongside with and saying, yes, is it all about the leader? Is it about the rogue leader themselves there? Just in terms of presenting that the right way?
Yeah, it can be about the person in charge, but it's also really in how you present it and how you share. So I know one of the incentives for us was a jean day, right? And I know my teachers are always looking for like any reason to not have to dress up in the classroom, to wear jeans, to be comfortable in the classroom. So that was one of the incentives. Like I said, the other one was, I'm going to come in, I'm going to cover your class for 40 minutes. As the building leader. Not only does that respect your professionalism in, I'm giving you more time to do what you need to do, recognizing that this is not an easy job. You constantly need to kind of work on things. It gives me a chance to get into the classroom with the kids, maybe do a read aloud, work on some other stuff with them. But, again, I think it is all about how you kind of build those relationships with your staff leading up to that. So I know our staff absolutely loved the idea. I kind of shared it with a couple of other building principals in our district who were running with it as well. So I think it is something that teachers, again, if you have those pre-existing relationships with your teachers, I think they understand that piece.
Yeah, I think that's the key, is the pre-existing. What have you poured in? What kind of a learning culture have you set up together? Is your team, in an ideal world, excited to learn and dig into new content and new strategies? I saw this phrase in your content, Rich, and I was hoping you could expand on it because it sort of captures something interesting, I thought. What does it look like when our professional learning takes on bold, sharp purpose? What does that mean?
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, a lot of time PD is done to say that we're doing it. It's the whole kind of seat theory of PD, right?
Right.
In our state, you have to get 20 hours per year of professional development. So you document your seat time on a chart, you submit that at the end of the year, and that qualifies as professional learning as far as the state is concerned. But it's really kind of shifting that mindset to take on bold, sharp purpose. So, why are we meeting in the first place? And I think that's the important question that needs to be explored there. What are we trying to do, right? Maybe it's trying to build a culture of reading within the building. Okay, so if that's what we're trying to do, then what should all of the professional learning and professional development around that idea look like? So I think it is kind of answering that question as to why we're doing what we're doing as far as professional development goes, and trying to build around that.
I love that. Building the professional learning around the mission. What's the mission for the year? What are you trying to get to? It's going back to learning targets, right, Rich? Which is something we're trying to bring into our classrooms. Well, I want to pause to take a moment to thank anyone who is viewing live or on the replay. Thank you so much for supporting my work and these rich professional learning conversations with great people like Rich. Go ahead and smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe if you're visiting the channel over on YouTube. Well, Rich, here's another area that was part of my master's thesis, actually, and it gets me going for sure. We've seen media consumption move to asynchronous and on-demand in a massive way over the last decade. What sorts of exciting possibilities does this offer professional learning?
Yeah, I think it provides a complete shift to professional development. And, there's so much that we can do with asynchronous or on-demand. The example that I always talk about, and I talk about in the new book, after the first book came out, we did a 4-week book study on Voxer, on the 4 o'clock faculty book. And after 4 weeks, that group of educators decided to kind of stay in the Voxer group and continue their learning. We are now, I think, 4 years later. That group is still going and still sharing on a daily basis. And so I think it's one of those things where on-demand, asynchronous, teachers are busy, they're overwhelmed, they have families, they have lots to do. So I think anytime we can kind of make the PD on demand, I think it's just beneficial for everybody involved. So I think the future is bright as far as what PD is going to look like over the next 5 to 10 years in terms of teachers building their own professional development, using podcasts, using YouTube, any of those things to kind of build PD libraries for teachers.
Rich, is that Voxer group still open? Is there a door? Is there a crack open in the door?
There absolutely is, and I will make sure I share that. So that's the 4OCF PLN. And the message in there is that they have turned from a PLN into a PLF, professional learning family, because it's like I said, it's a group that is prolific. They're on there every day. 4 years later, still learning from each other, still connecting with each other. So
that is awesome stuff. Well, we can't have a conversation about professional learning without addressing the elephant in the room right now, which is that teachers are tired. And maybe you could say that about the profession always, but it seems like in particular we're hearing that message a lot. So what is your take? And maybe this connects, Rich, with what we were just talking about shifting the form and shape of professional learning. But what do you say to those teachers who do feel like, wow, Rich, I want to learn, I've got no gas left in the tank?
Yeah, I think it's about recognizing where teachers are and really supporting them in what they need. So I know even this year I've canceled some of our PD our staff meetings. So normally I try to do a PD topic at every staff meeting and not just stand up there and read to our teachers. But there's been some times where I look around and I say, you know what, whatever I was going to share this week is not as important as that extra hour to you, right? So, I'll send an email to staff and just say, hey, no staff meeting this week, take the time for what you need, right? So whether that's, additional time to work on lesson plans, whether that's driving home a couple of minutes early to see your family, do what you need to do, because I think if we can recognize where teachers are and support them in what they need, I think that's ultimately the goal. In the book, I write about a principal from South Jersey. His name is Brian Kulak. He was in charge of PD in his district. They were getting ready to do a PD day. This was a couple of years ago, actually prior to the pandemic. And he recognized that the staff was just exhausted, burnout. So he ended up canceling the PD day, and instead they did a staff wellness day. So he did a little bingo board, which he gave out to all the staff. It had different activities on there to allow them to kind of catch up on some of the stuff they needed. They could go play ping pong. They could go play basketball. They could walk around campus. So a lot of different options on the bingo board. And while they were doing that, all of the administrators in the school and district wrote thank you notes to all of the staff members. So it was one of those things where he recognized afterwards, like, how powerful it was in just canceling the PD and focusing on teacher wellness.
Wendy is here saying, teacher exodus is real. We need to take care of our teachers, or August is going to bring staffing challenges. JT, welcome. Coming to us from Garland ISD, says, I've been able to sharpen my tools via podcast this year. Let us know, JT, which podcast you are tuning into. I try to add as many education podcasts to my Spotify collection as I can, but would love to hear what you are listening to and learning from. And another comment from JT says, when we lead PD, we must be engaging, just like we ask our team members to engage their students. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think a lot of that same pedagogy applies. In fact, we need to be the models, right? Rich, is that something you think about a lot? I'm sure you've written about.
Yeah, so it's absolutely modeling what we want to see for students, right. Modeling that with our teachers. So like I said, that's why our staff meetings are always, PD intensive. So what should we be seeing in the classroom with students?
All right, we are starting to wind down with some of my rapid fire questions here, Rich. So on that theme of sustainability, thinking of wellness and self-care, tell us about one app, routine, or daily practice that gives you clarity and rekindles your fire.
So my wife and I walk every morning during the week. So we're up by 5 out the door and doing probably a 30 to 35 minute walk every morning. So that really gets me going for the day. When we miss it, I can definitely feel it all day long that we haven't done the walk. So.
That's something that I was just talking about with Mrs. Cavey. Maybe we'll have to take that on. Okay, whose voices are inspiring you right now? Which authors, speakers, or creators are lighting your fire for learning, Rich?
Yeah, so I'm currently reading a couple of books. The first one is Evan Robb's new book. It's called Aiming High. So I've been kind of getting into that to see what types of strategies we can use. And he wrote it during the pandemic. So it kind of focuses on coming out of the pandemic and what we could do to make schools better. The second one is Tanya Katan's Creative Trespassing. So it's not an education book, but she talks about how to bring creativity into your job no matter what you do, which I think is very important for teachers as well. So kind of stuck on those two books right now, but I'm hoping to learn a lot from both.
Quick comment from Wendy. She says, I am planning a professional development as I listen. Thanks for the inspiration. Well, you're at the right place, Wendy. So good to have you this morning. Thank you for those comments. Rich, tell us about an upcoming project or activity that you're focused on right now that is firing you up.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. We're going to do another Voxer book club for the new book for Rogue Leader. So cool. That's going to be starting in April 4th to 22nd. So it'll be a couple of weeks long. I'm hoping that the group ends up staying on as we did with the 4 o'clock faculty PLN. I'm sure a lot of them will jump into the new book study. But I love kind of connecting with readers of the book, talking about professional development, talking about different ideas. So that is something I'm very excited for. As I said, it will start on April 4th, give everybody enough time to get a copy of the book before then, and hopefully learn a lot about improving professional development for everyone.
Hey, Rich, count me in. Sign me up for that Voxer Club. I will make sure I've got my copy. Now, hold on. Do I have to have the book finished? Though that's a pretty tight window for the Voxer Club. So I don't want to I don't want to feel pressured.
Yeah, no. So you won't have to have the book finished.
Okay, all right.
It'll be kind of general questions that you'll be able to answer anyway. Kind of themed around the book, but
I see.
It's an easy read. So hopefully you'll be able to jump in.
That's the one thing with Voxer book studies. I feel like if I'm a part, I want to, if I've committed, I want to make sure I'm participating and I can contribute. I've felt bad in the past if I start to fall behind. So hopefully others have a similar question. Just before we close out here, we've got, and the JT is Josh Tovar. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he says, here's what he's listening to. The second question, the Big Ed idea. The Principal Leadership Lab, I'm familiar with that one. The Good News, Brad News, of course. Principal Liner Notes, and the Teachers on Fire podcast. Thank you so much, Josh. Yes, some great admin and principal related podcasts in that mix. So good, Josh. Thank you for sharing your list. Well, Rich, all important question here. How can we connect with your learning moving forward?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at RA Czyz, CZYZ. I'm on LinkedIn, Rich Czyz, and really the main place to find everything is the website. So it's 4 o'clock faculty, FOUR, o'clockfaculty.com. And that's where you can find everything related to the books. I normally do about 3-4 posts a week on there as well, blog posts. So hopefully you can connect with me there as well. And there we go, the books, 4 o'clock faculty, Secret Sauce, and Rogue Leader. And hopefully everybody will pick up a copy of those.
Absolutely. Well, again, congrats on just leading your team effectively, leading your learners, and getting out these books. I heard Tara Martin ask you about the third one. Your advice to leaders like Josh and Wendy out there, does it get easier with practice to write and publish?
I feel like it does. I think my process is a lot different than when I first started. So,
right.
I think you just kind of find things within your process that work a little bit better for you. So, I think the process gets easier, but I think the biggest piece I could say is hit the publish button, right? Because when you start this process and you're writing or you want to share with others, it's about that ever important step of just hitting publish, right? Somebody out there needs to hear what you're saying. And I think if you can remember that, even if it's only one person, hitting that publish button is so important.
That's the note I want to end on. Thank you so much, Rich. There we go, for your time today. What a great conversation. Such an important topic. I really appreciate you. Best of luck as you continue to raise the visibility of the book, and keep me in mind for that Voxer book study. I'd love to be a part.
Absolutely, Tim, and thank you for having me today.